Here's something your cardiologist probably never told you during your last 10-minute appointment. The blood pressure number that woke you up worried this morning. It may not be a drug problem. It may be a vegetable problem. And stay with me, because the single vegetable we discuss at habit number 4 is doing something to your blood vessel walls that most medications can't even touch. And you may already have it sitting in your refrigerator right now. Friends, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever sat quietly in the morning, cuff around your arm, and felt that small knot of dread tighten in your chest before the number even appeared? That moment, the little beep, the digits climbing higher than you wanted, that feeling is something millions of people over 60 experience every single day. And most of them are doing everything their doctor told them, taking their pills, cutting out the salt shaker, avoiding stress. And still, the number won't come down the way they need it to. I see this in my practice constantly. And what I've come to understand, what the research is now confirming, is that we've been looking at this problem too narrowly. Because your blood pressure isn't just about sodium or stress. It's about the health of your blood vessel walls themselves, their flexibility, their ability to relax, and certain everyday vegetables contain specific compounds that speak directly to those vessels in a way that most medications and most doctors overlook entirely. Now, everything I'm sharing today is for educational purposes only. Always consult your own physician before making changes, especially if you're currently on blood pressure medication. Some of these vegetables interact with how your body processes certain drugs, and your doctor needs to know what you're doing. With that said, let's get into the 7. Vegetable 7, beetroot. Let's start with number 7, and I want you to think of this one differently than you probably have before. Beets. Most people think of them as that slippery purple thing that stained your shirt at a salad bar once. But inside that deep red flesh is one of the most studied natural compounds in cardiovascular medicine today, dietary nitrates. Here's what's happening in your arteries right now if your pressure is elevated. Think of your blood vessels like a garden hose that's been left out in the sun for too many summers. The walls get stiff, rigid, and when your heart pushes blood through rigid pipes, the pressure climbs. Dietary nitrates in beets convert in your body to nitric oxide, a molecule that acts like a slow, gentle hand releasing the tension in those vessel walls. They relax, they widen, and the pressure drops. A landmark study published in Hypertension found that drinking just 1 glass of beet juice lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 points within 24 hours. That is a clinically meaningful reduction, the kind that moves people out of dangerous ranges. How do you use it? Half a cup of cooked beets or 4 ounces of pure beet juice in the evening, no added sugar. And here is the detail most people miss. Pair it with a source of vitamin C, like a squeeze of lemon. Vitamin C protects nitric oxide from breaking down too quickly in your bloodstream, extending its effect through the night while you sleep. Avoid canned beets in syrup. The added sugar triggers an insulin response that partially counteracts the vessel-relaxing benefit you're after. Vegetable 6, spinach. Number 6 is one you've heard 100 times, but probably not for this reason. Spinach. The conversation around spinach almost always goes to iron, or Popeye. But what the research is increasingly focused on is spinach's extraordinary magnesium content. And magnesium is the mineral that most Americans over 60 are quietly, dangerously deficient in. Here's why that matters for your blood pressure. Magnesium acts as a natural calcium channel blocker. Now, if you've ever been prescribed a calcium channel blocker medication, you know what that does. It prevents calcium from entering the muscle cells of your arteries, which stops those muscles from contracting too tightly. Magnesium does something biochemically similar, naturally, every time it reaches your vessel walls. Low magnesium means tighter arteries. Tighter arteries mean higher pressure. It's that direct. A meta-analysis covering over 34 clinical trials found that magnesium supplementation produced significant reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Spinach gives you magnesium, potassium, and folate together, a triple combination that works synergistically on your vascular system. How do you use it? 2 generous handfuls of raw spinach in a smoothie or lightly sautéed in the evening. Critically, do not boil spinach. Boiling leaches up to 70% of the water-soluble nutrients into the cooking water. Steam it gently or eat it raw. And if you're on warfarin, talk to your doctor first. The vitamin K content requires monitoring. Vegetable 5, garlic. Number 5 has been used medicinally for over 5,000 years. And it turns out, the ancient Egyptians were onto something very real. Garlic. The active compound here is allicin, released the moment you crush or chop a garlic clove. Allicin stimulates the production of hydrogen sulfide in your blood vessel walls. Now, hydrogen sulfide sounds alarming, but in tiny amounts inside your arteries, it's a powerful vasodilator. It signals your vessel walls to relax and open up. A comprehensive meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutrition found that garlic supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8.3 points and diastolic by 5.5 points in people with hypertension. Those are numbers that rival some first-line medications without the side effects. How do you use it correctly? This is critical. Crush or finely mince 2 to 3 cloves of raw garlic and let it sit for 10 full minutes before you cook it or eat it. That 10-minute rest period is not optional. It allows the enzymatic reaction that produces allicin to complete fully. If you throw garlic straight into a hot pan, you destroy the enzyme before allicin can form, and you've wasted most of the cardiovascular benefit. Add it to vegetables, blend it into a dressing, or simply eat it with a small amount of olive oil. The fat helps absorption and takes the edge off the raw intensity. Vegetable 4, celery. And now, number 4. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning. The one that's probably sitting in your refrigerator right now, being completely ignored. And I want you to pay very close attention here, because the mechanism behind this vegetable is something most cardiologists won't bring up, not because they don't care, but because nutrition simply isn't what they're trained to focus on. Celery. I know you were expecting something exotic, but hear me out. Celery contains a compound called 3N-butylphthalide, or 3NB. It was actually first isolated by researchers who were trying to figure out why a family with a history of hypertension had normal blood pressure despite never taking medication. The answer turned out to be that they ate a significant amount of celery every day as part of their cultural diet. 3NB works on blood pressure through 2 mechanisms simultaneously. First, it relaxes the smooth muscle tissue lining your arteries, similar to the way calcium channel blockers work. Second, it acts as a mild diuretic, helping your kidneys flush excess sodium more efficiently. Lower sodium, less fluid pressure in the vessels. The effect compounds. Animal studies showed a 12–14% reduction in blood pressure. Human observational data is supportive, and the safety profile is essentially perfect. How do you use it? 4 stalks of fresh celery daily, morning or evening, it doesn't matter. You can eat them raw, blend them into juice, or add them to soups. One essential note: do not discard the leaves. The celery leaf contains a higher concentration of 3NB than the stalk itself. Most people throw away the most valuable part of the vegetable. Vegetable 3, carrots. Number 3 surprises almost everyone, and this is the one I want you to think about the next time you reach for a snack. Carrots. The compound at work here is called falcarinol, a natural polyacetylene found almost exclusively in carrots and a few close botanical relatives. Recent research suggests falcarinol has significant anti-inflammatory effects on arterial walls, and inflammation of arterial tissue is one of the primary drivers of sustained hypertension that we don't talk about nearly enough. But there's a second mechanism that's just as important. Carrots are genuinely rich in potassium, and potassium is the direct physiological counterbalance to sodium inside your cells. Every cell in your blood vessel walls uses a sodium-potassium pump to regulate pressure. When potassium is low, sodium wins. The vessels hold more fluid. The pressure climbs. A study in nutrients found that higher dietary potassium intake was associated with a 24% reduction in stroke risk and meaningful reductions in blood pressure readings across multiple age groups. How do you use them? Here is where most people get it wrong. Raw carrots provide more falcarinol than cooked, but lightly steamed carrots, 3 to 5 minutes only, actually increase the bioavailability of beta-carotene, which supports vascular lining health. My recommendation: alternate. Raw carrots with hummus as a daytime snack 3 days a week, lightly steamed with your evening meal on the other days. You capture benefits from both preparations. Vegetable 2, Swiss chard. Number 2 is one most people walk right past in the produce section, and that is genuinely unfortunate, because for blood pressure specifically, Swiss chard may be the most nutrient-dense vegetable on this entire list. Swiss chard delivers the trifecta of blood pressure minerals in exceptional concentrations: potassium, magnesium, and calcium, all three working together in the precise ratio your vascular system needs. Here's the analogy I use with my patients. Imagine your arteries as a sophisticated hydraulic system. Potassium controls the fluid balance. Magnesium governs muscle tension in the vessel walls. Calcium regulates the electrical signals that tell those muscles when to contract. When all three are depleted, which they are in the majority of people over 60, particularly those on diuretic medications, the system loses its calibration. Pressure climbs. 1 cup of cooked Swiss chard provides 961 milligrams of potassium, more than twice what you'd get from a banana. It also delivers 150 milligrams of magnesium in a single cup. How do you use it? Sauté 1 to 2 cups in olive oil with the garlic we discussed in number 5. That combination, Swiss chard and properly prepared garlic, creates a synergistic vascular benefit that neither produces alone. One practical note: Swiss chard contains oxalates, which can affect people prone to kidney stones. If that applies to you, steam it briefly and discard the cooking water before eating. Vegetable 1, Broccoli sprouts. And finally, number 1. And I want to be honest with you, when I first read the research on this one, I had to go back and read it twice. Broccoli sprouts. Not broccoli, broccoli sprouts. Those tiny, delicate shoots that look like alfalfa and taste mildly of radish. They are, gram for gram, one of the most powerful foods for cardiovascular health that science has identified in the last 20 years. The reason is a compound called sulforaphane. Broccoli sprouts contain 50 to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli florets. 50 to 100 times. Here's what sulforaphane does. It activates a cellular pathway called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as your body's master switch for antioxidant defense inside blood vessel cells. When NRF2 is activated, it triggers a cascade of protective enzymes that reduce oxidative stress along the arterial wall, reduce inflammation, improve endothelial function. Endothelium being the single-cell thin lining of every artery in your body, and directly support the production of nitric oxide. A clinical trial published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that participants who consumed broccoli sprout extract for 3 months showed significant improvements in arterial stiffness and endothelial function, 2 of the most direct measurable markers of blood pressure risk. How do you use them? 2 to 3 tablespoons of fresh broccoli sprouts daily. Add them raw to salads, sandwiches, or on top of any cooked vegetable dish after it comes off the heat. Heat destroys sulforaphane almost entirely. And here is the key detail. Look for sprouts that are 3 to 5 days old. That is the precise window when sulforaphane concentration peaks before it begins to decline. You can grow them yourself at home from seeds in a mason jar for under $2 a week. Before we bring this together, 5 rules. Because you could eat every single vegetable on this list and still miss the full benefit if you ignore these. Rule 1. Don't overcook. Boiling destroys water-soluble compounds including nitrates, potassium, and key enzymes. Steam, sauté briefly, or eat raw wherever possible. Rule 2. Evening timing matters. Your blood pressure follows a natural pattern. It dips during sleep. Eating these vegetables in the 3 hours before bed gives the active compounds peak availability during your nighttime vascular repair window. Rule 3. Pair with healthy fat. Compounds like falcarinol and fat-soluble antioxidants require fat for absorption. A drizzle of olive oil, a few walnuts, or half an avocado alongside your vegetables meaningfully increases what your body actually receives. Rule 4. Consistency beats quantity. A small daily serving works better than a large weekly serving. Your blood vessels respond to sustained, consistent input, not occasional flooding. Rule 5. Talk to your doctor before adjusting medication. This is not a disclaimer. This is genuinely important. Some of these vegetables, particularly celery, beets, and garlic, can meaningfully potentiate the effect of blood pressure medications. If your pressure drops significantly, your medication dose may need adjustment. Monitor carefully and keep your physician informed. So let's bring this full circle. High blood pressure isn't just a number on a cuff. It's your arteries asking for something they're not getting enough of: flexibility, the right minerals, the right signals to relax. And the remarkable thing, the thing that genuinely moves me about this research, is that your kitchen may already contain a significant part of the answer. Beets that widen your vessels overnight. Spinach that gives your arteries the magnesium they're starving for. Garlic that unlocks a compound your body uses to release tension in those vessel walls. Celery with a mechanism so specific that it sent researchers hunting through family health records to find it. Carrots balancing the sodium battle happening inside every cell. Swiss chard delivering the precise mineral trifecta your vascular system is calibrated to need. And broccoli sprouts, activating the very genetic switch that tells your artery walls to defend themselves. This is what targeted, evidence-informed eating looks like for people over 60, who refuse to simply accept what they're told their body can't do anymore. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments and tell me, what's one vegetable from this list you're committing to start this week? And if you have someone in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a dear friend, who checks their blood pressure every morning with that same knot of worry in their chest, send this to them. It may be the most useful thing that lands in their inbox this week. Stay proactive about your health, stay vibrant, and stay blessed. I'm Dr. J. Smith, and I'll see you in the next one.